taking that really big bite out of that veggie corny dog at the state fair. Probably going to see that one again sometime. Yeah. As the son of a farmer, I always feel very comfortable coming here. And I think it's your Midwestern values, your sense of community, your love of country, your deep and abiding faith. They remind me of the place I grew up in called Pink Creek. The only difference is that we rarely had any snow. We specialized in cattle instead of hogs, and we grew cotton instead of corn. And I speak tonight out of a love for, but a deep concern for our country. We've lost our way. Our national debt is approximately the size of our national GDP. And best I can tell, there's no serious plan for us to address that. The number of Americans on food stamps has more than doubled over the last decade. Secretary Vilsack once called the food stamp program an economic stimulus. Food stamps are not the solution to our economic problem. They are a symptom of the problem. We can't find good work, we can find government dependence. Today we're watching this new national health care law literally unravel before our eyes. The president said no one would lose their health plan, except, of course, the millions of Americans who will. To quote Rush Limbaugh, next he'll be saying, if you like your guns, you'll be able to keep them. Instead of solving problems, our leaders shut down government. You know, it's amazing to me that the Obama administration is capable of barricading a war memorial despite government being shut down, but they can't operate a website when it gets up and running. You know, it's not just that the political parties disagree, but it's that they're so disagreeable. Sowing not only discord, but distrust. Our leaders have forgotten how to govern. And believe me, I know a few things about forgetting. When millions of Americans cannot trust the president about something so fundamental as their health care, health insurance, the damage is far greater than when a president parses the words and tries to tell us what the definition of is. If I may be so bold as to quote a t-shirt maker from Minnesota in a crowd full of Iowans, the NSA is the only part of government that is actually listening. Washington is so determined to enact their ideological agenda, they refuse to listen to the plight of working Americans. They don't care if people lose their health insurance because, in their estimation, the American people can't determine what level of coverage that they need. They don't care that treating carbon dioxide as a pollutant will destroy jobs and industry because they're too busy pandering to environmental extremists. They don't care that every child born into America today will inherit more than $54,000 in national debt because their experiment in big government is too important to them. We're losing the country we love to a government that is too big, too arrogant, too controlling of our everyday lives. It is incumbent upon us, to the men and women in this room, to take our country back. I believe that the answers that ills our nation are not going to be found in Washington, D.C. Kim, I think those answers are going to be found in the states. The only hope for America is that the common sense found on Main Street America emerges into a movement that sweeps across this country. We've got to turn away from Washington to find answers. We need to look to red states that are outperforming blue states, to states that are cutting taxes, controlling spending, balancing budgets, and are creating jobs. The change we're looking for is not a speech with a lofty rhetoric. What we're looking for can be found in the record of governors like Nikki Haley, Susana Martinez, Rick Scott, Terry Branstad. Conservative governors who are cutting taxes and controlling spending and investing in jobs. Governor Branstad signed the largest tax cut in Iowa history. It's no wonder Iowa has added 160,000 jobs and $7.3 billion in economic development projects under his watch. Yeah, I get up every day and go to work. Because I know if I don't, Terry will be there. Or he'll send Kim. He's a serious governor, making a real difference. Iowa's future is bright because of the leadership of Terry Branstad, and he has assembled an incredible team. And I will suggest to you his strongest asset is here with us tonight. Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds is a part of that Branstad Reynolds administration. She is dedicated to the state. And there are states like Iowa that are succeeding. And then there are states that are sinking. There are states that are in trouble. States like California, Illinois, California. There are states that are on the rise. Debt's exploding. Capital and personal income are fleeing those states. Listen, if you live in California and you rent a U-Haul to move your company, it costs twice as much to go from San Francisco to Austin, Texas than the other way around because you cannot find a truck big enough that you can afford to flee California. That's a fact. My home state is creating more jobs than any other state in the nation. We've rated as the best business climate 9 years in a row. And the reason for that is not rocket science. We cut taxes, we didn't spend all the money, we created fair and predictable regulations, we put legal reforms into place so that you would not be sued frivolously. And then we got out of the way. You see, because of that, we have an abundance of jobs and revenue. We're demonstrating that while you can't spend your way to prosperity, with the right policies, you can grow yourself there. There are two visions in our country, two visions that are playing out. There's this Washington blue state vision and one that's being enacted in red states. And the vision that wins out, whether the big government protectionist nanny state vision offered by Democratic or the limited government, the free market, freedom-loving states that's offered up by Republican governments, they're going to determine the future of our nation. America cannot sustain its current fiscal course. We can't continue to borrow trillions from bankers in Beijing, Brazil, and Tokyo. The downgrading of our credit for the first time 2 years ago shouldn't have surprised anyone. Our leaders were fighting over a few billion in spending cuts while our debt soared by trillions in the last 5 years. Long before our president presided over our downgrading of our credit, he was downgrading our standing in the world. He alienated Israel. He emboldened Iran. He muddled through the Arab Spring aimlessly without any coherent foreign policy. And his latest gambit in Syria was a demonstration of weakness in a world that needs a strong America. As Dennis Miller put it, we got to be the only country in the world that sends out a save-the-date attack call. It is not in our interest to give advance warning to an enemy. As an old Air Force pilot, I will tell you, we want the first sign of our coming to be craters in their soil. We have to reestablish America's primacy in the world. It starts with foreign policy that Ronald Reagan referred to as peace through strength. It's not too late. It's not too late for America to lead in the world. We can do it again. But only if we get our house in order first. Our national debt is a national security issue. The nationalization of our health care system will only further erode our economy. Borders left unenforced leave us subject to future attacks. It is time for Washington to focus on the few things that the Constitution establishes as the federal government's role: securing the border, defending our country, delivering a cogent foreign policy. Get out of the health care business. Get out of the education business. Let the sleeping giant of American industry create prosperity again. That is the code that we have to put into place. It is the code we have to stand by. The people in this room, those of you with this new and renewed sense of purpose in this country, can lead America back to greatness again. I stand ready to work with you to create that. God bless you, and thank you all for letting us come back.